Hi, greetings everybody. Welcome to UUCC, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. You hear me okay? We are a group of spiritual free thinkers who gather to celebrate life, build community, and better the world. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. I'm Nancy Reed, your worship associate for this morning, and our service will be led by Laura Wink. The service is also being live streamed to our YouTube channel, and we plan on continuing these hybrid worship services throughout the church year. So you can join us each week here in person, on Zoom, or later on YouTube, as you prefer. If this is your first visit, welcome. I think I see some new visitors. You're very welcome. We invite you to sign the visitor's book in the entryway, and whether it's your first visit or your 1000th, we're glad that you came. I have a few announcements to share with you today. RE and child care will be provided this morning by Pat Mells and Kaya Mells. If you have joys and sorrows to share this morning, please fill out a card. They're in the back of the sanctuary, and place it in the basket on the welcoming table. We're short of baskets, so just place it on the welcoming table. We will get it. And if you missed the table on your way in this morning, it's okay to go back and add your card before the end of the first hymn. We have a new system for people to volunteer to help on Sunday mornings, too. Above the table with the joys and sorrows, there is a magnetic board with roles that need to be filled. If you see an available task that you know you could help with, like being an usher to collect the offering or making coffee, pull that task off the board and place it in the basket below. The tasks with green are good ones for children to help with. There's also a sheet to sign up in advance for Sunday worship roles on the table. Stop by and sign up. Are there any other announcements for the good of the community this morning?
Good morning, everybody. I've got 3 announcements for us this morning. I'm Reverend Eileen, by the way, if we haven't met yet. The first announcement is a warm welcome to our new nursery staff worker, who many of you already know, Melissa Jacoby, is going to be working in the nursery on Sunday mornings, providing childcare for kids 3 and under. The second announcement is that our congregation is turning 30, the big 3-0, this October. 30 years ago, we were incorporated as a congregation. And so on Sunday the 15th, we're going to celebrate. Don't miss that service. There will be cake afterward. And I'm looking for stories about the congregation. So if you've been here for a long time or just a short time, I would love to have some stories about your life in this congregation and your experiences here. If you would email those stories to me or bring them printed out or handwritten into church before October 15th, we would love to collect those in an anniversary storybook. And my final announcement is that we talked a lot about fascism last week, and we have a lot of interest in that. So we're going to have a book group talking through Jason Stanley's book, How Fascism Works. We're going to meet on October 24th. You can find this information and a sign-up link in our newsletter, which will come out this week. So if you'd like to talk more about Jason Stanley's book, you can sign up in our newsletter. Everyone is welcome to attend that book discussion. And you don't have to sign up very far in advance, but it will help us to know who's going to be there.
As we prepare to be fully together, I remind you to silence your cell phones, please, and other devices. We now enter a space of worship. I invite Benson to come up and help us light the chalice, please. Or Orrin. Please say the chalice lighting words with me. In this hour, as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs, light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
A few years ago, I was working with a 13-year-old boy I'll call John Doe. John has intellectual disability, autism, anxiety, and a suite of behaviors associated with those diagnoses. He had really long hair, and he pulled it over his face to avoid eye contact with people. Many things made him nervous, and he would swear and mutter under his breath, and sometimes he would just take off running when he was really startled. The education team's job was to help John build independent skills and socially appropriate skills. On one day, the speech therapist decided to provide him with a lesson that would develop several life skills for him. Making toast. In one of those toasters where you have to push the button down and the toast pops up. So on the walk down to the speech therapy room, she explained what the lesson would be, and John immediately started swearing a blue streak, muttering, "Don't touch, toasters burn, hurt, effing toast," and he just kept saying effing, except you know what he really was saying. His parents had done a very thorough job of teaching John to be safe in the kitchen by avoiding all appliances. So the therapist walked and talked to him along the way. It's gonna be okay. The toaster can be safe. Use your school words. You get the idea. So they got to the therapy room, and John just couldn't cross the threshold. He was so anxious. So he watched from the doorway as the speech therapist demonstrated the toaster, put the bread in, pushed the lever down, and said, "Now we wait." Ugh, waiting is really hard. But it gave John a chance to swap out those F-bombs for school words and work through some of that anxiety and self-calm. A very good practice. Then the toast popped. John jumped, and to his credit, he didn't run away. He was breathing really hard and cursing a blue streak, but he did stay in the threshold. So this time it was the therapist who had to wait. After a few minutes, John took a deep breath, pushed the hair off his face, and said, "Toast, I am not afraid of you." And he marched across the room, and he took the toast out of the toaster, and he slammed it on the plate, and he buttered it, and he ate it. So many breakthroughs, so many. And that's why I love my job. I'm a part of a community of people working together with students with complex and severe needs, experiencing profound acts of bravery and personal growth. And isn't that why we come to church? To be part of a loving community where we support each other individually and collectively, grapple with life's changes, learn and grow. I'm glad you're here.
Our first hymn this morning is number 349, "We Gather Together." Please rise as you're willing and able and join us to sing. We gather together in joy.
So please bring forward the cards from the Joys and Sorrows table, if there are any. If you had grabbed a card and you hadn't left it back there, you may certainly bring one forward too. We are a community that holds one another in our celebrations and in our pain. Know that whatever your heart is holding today, we are with you. And now is the time in our service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts of both time and money support our church and its work. Each week we would like to spotlight a group or a committee and thank them for their gift of time. And this week I'd like to spotlight the meditation group. You may or may not know that there is a group that meets on Zoom on Tuesday nights to do meditation together. If that's something you're interested in, you can see Ken Hutton, who's here, who has his hand up over there. Talk to him, and maybe you'd like to join that. A quarter of our plate collection for the harvest season goes to Friends of Ganondagan, who support this national historic landmark and the only New York State historic site dedicated to a Native American theme since 1987. The culture, art, agriculture, and government of the Seneca people influenced our modern understanding of equality, democratic government, women's rights, ecology, and natural food. You can give to this morning's offering by placing cash in the basket or by one of the options on the screen. Please make a note that your gift is intended for today's offering. We now gratefully accept the offering. We have one joy here, and you may see others on your screen at home. This joy is from Oren, who is very happy that it is the weekend. I will drop a pebble. And now if any of the children would like to go downstairs for children's church, or if any nursery students would like to go down with Melissa, now's the time to go.
Now is the time in our service to take a moment. Close your eyes if that is comfortable for you. Take a deep breath in let it out. Feel the good earth supporting you, the wide sky expansive above. Just for this moment, take another breath. Just be. Know that you belong right here, right now. You're not missing anything. There is no rush, no expectation. You are who you are supposed to be right now, and you're right on time. The concept that I'd like to talk about today is using our covenant as a tool to foster a welcoming and inclusive culture in our church. Our current covenant states that in the service of the values that unite us, we will recognize the inherent value of each person, foster a community of compassion and caring for all, value our diverse opinions, and engage respectfully in all interactions. Pretty good, right? But I feel like it's sort of sitting on a shelf right now, and I think that it can be a more effective tool in creating a welcoming and inclusive community. I come to this topic from a particular perspective. In my career, my preferred population to serve are people who have severe disabilities. This is actually my 20th year at Mary Cariola Center in the school program. And I stay because I feel like I belong to this community of people dedicated to working toward this worthy goal. A little context. Mary Cariola Center is a school program located in Rochester on 3 different campuses. We have about 380 kids, about 500 staff. And I'm proud of the work we do, specifically in regard to creating a welcoming and inclusive community. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the factors that I think contribute to that can be applied to our church. 1, develop a deep understanding of the individuals in our community. 2, prioritize just a few shared goals. And 3, establish a consistent model to address conflict behaviors. So I'll do a little comparison. So first I'll talk about Mary Cariola and how that informs this. So the goal of our school program, like all schools, is to prepare students to be successful in life, which looks a little different at Mary Cariola. The school program is licensed by State Ed to provide special education and only special education to students who have a confirmed diagnosis in things like autism, deafblind, intellectual disabilities, multiple disabilities. There's a suite. We are a non-credit bearing program. We provide a certificate of life skills, not a diploma, so success looks slightly different. And all of our students are placed at the school by their families and home districts by a committee for special education, because the general ed program in their home district is unable to meet their educational needs. So a little bit more about our community. Students first, always. All of our students have complex disabilities, which means that they have significant learning problems. They need increased time to process information. They need repetition and consistent messaging. Some of our students have complex physical disabilities. For instance, they might use a wheelchair to get around. They might have a trach or a G-tube to eat. Many of our students are nonverbal or have limited communication skills, so we give them visual supports like pictures or symbols to help them understand what we're saying. Some of our students have impulse control challenges and limited coping skills and aggressive behaviors. Our students are very special in the special ed world, and our staff work really hard to create an environment where they're successful, where they learn and grow. So speaking of our staff, the community of people who work with this population is also unique. The staff are people who particularly enjoy adversity and highly value teamwork. As you can imagine, the work is physically and emotionally demanding, and it takes a lot of adults. Most of our classrooms have 7 students, 1 teacher, 4 paraprofessionals, and then an entire team of therapists, OT, PT, speech, vision, music, nurse, behavior therapy. There's a ton of us. That's a lot of people with a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different priorities for the students. Sometimes there's conflict. We're humans. But everyone places student success as the highest priority. And to a man, the team sets aside differences for the benefits of the students. Teams work through conflict and almost always come out stronger on the other side. As a matter of fact, staff say that they come for the students, but they stay because of the team. One of the reasons our community works is because we have explicit expectations and consistent, respectful responses to behaviors, kind of like a covenant. We use a school-wide model called Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. It's kind of a mouthful. We just call it PBIS. It basically means that staff intentionally teach students the expected behavior and redirect students to a more appropriate behavior using positive language. This model is very effective. It's used across public and private schools across New York State. It's designed to be flexible and reflect the needs of the people and respond to the environment. When we started using PBIS, the clinical and educational leaders sat down together and hashed out the most important goals, structured around the needs of the individuals, but made them universally applicable. They chose the principles: be safe, be respectful, be responsible, and be ready. And everyone uses those terms to couch our identified expected behaviors. We use language that's positive and directive and focuses on the behavior, not the student, not the person. So for example, we might say, be safe, use walking feet. We don't say don't run. We might say, be responsible, throw your trash in the garbage can. Be respectful, keep your hands and feet to yourself. Be ready, have your eyes on the speaker. When the environment changed during COVID, we added some things like be safe, stay 6 feet apart. Be respectful, wear your mask. And be responsible, stay home if you're sick. The model has been very effective in unifying our community. We go over it during new staff orientation so everyone knows what the expectations are and the goals and the language we use. So how does this apply to our church? Clearly, not a special ed population. But the process of creating a covenant has similar elements to PBIS. When we create a covenant, we spend time getting to know each other, our values, our perspectives, our priorities. We create shared goals, and we state our expectations for behavior. During my time on the board, we've created a new covenant every year, and we review it at the start of every meeting. It's a living and powerful reminder of who we are individually and collectively, the goals we share, and that the work we're doing is in a loving and mutually supportive community. We don't have the same perspective. We won't always agree on every issue, but our shared commitment to the success of the church connects us and makes us a strong team. And that's what keeps me coming back to participating in the board. I think this is year 7 or, I don't know, whatever, a whole bunch of years. Sharing work in this covenantal relationship brings deeper understanding of my fellow board members and therefore my church community. I feel connected, I feel supported, and like I'm valued, and it's important for me to be there. I think we can do a better job of bringing that to our whole church covenant and our whole church community by reviewing our covenant and adding a couple of components. So let's talk about the church's goal. We gather as a diverse group of religious free thinkers to celebrate life, build community, and better the world. That's our goal. We gather and worship to find meaning and live more deeply. It's an excellent goal. Does it reflect the hopes and dreams of our current members? Well, let's talk about our people. So we are a church of about 80 people right now, infants to grandparents. We identify as men, women, non-binary, straight, cis, LGBT, and Q. Our membership has changed in the years since we created our last church covenant. Let's talk about our individual needs. Now, in contrast to Mary Cariola Center, we're not a group of homogenous individuals with similar disabilities. And actually, you might not identify as disabled. But here's the thing. Almost all of us is going to be less disabled at some time in our lives due to developmental level, illness, injury, or age. And so I've heard it said that we should all think of ourselves as temporarily abled. It's a good way to frame this next section. It's not appropriate for me to guess at what our individual needs are, and I'm certainly not qualified to diagnose from the pulpit. But it's important to think about how our individual needs may conflict so that we can work through those connections, through those issues and build connections. So for the sake of discussion, some of our physical needs are visible. Some of us may struggle with balance and strength and need a ramp to walk up into the church and a steady, predictable environment to stay safe. On the other hand, some of us may have a hard time sitting still and need vigorous physical activity to blow off steam and fidgets to maintain attention. I'm totally that person. So you can see where these needs might conflict, right? Some of us may be living with internal struggles that aren't obvious, but create significant emotional needs. We may have in the past, may now, or in the future struggle with addiction, carry profound grief, be recovering from trauma, or navigating relationship issues, or struggling with mental health challenges. At any time, one or more of us may need extra compassion, understanding, and tenderness, but it may be hidden, we may not know. And that can lead to misunderstandings, hurt, and disconnection and conflict in a community. We're also individuals with different faith traditions. We are, or have been, humanists, Buddhists, Christians, Unitarians, Universalists, Jews, Mormon, atheists. Some of us may carry scars or triggers from our previous church experiences, while others may long to hear more Jesus, more God during services. You can see where these needs conflict too. It's normal to have conflicting needs in a community. We are humans. It's the management of conflict and behavior that I think will build a more welcoming and inclusive community. And this is what we can learn from the PBIS model. The model works because everyone applies the same respectful, positive language to managing conflict and addressing behaviors. And so that's my call to action. I think we need to grow our membership and retain the people that we have. Because people may come for the preacher, truly, the potlucks, or the spirituality, but they're likely to stay because they feel like they belong to this community. So to do that, I think it's time to refresh our church covenant, add a little to the frame. It's time to do that holy work again, build a better understanding of each other and our individual needs, review, maybe reset our goals, decide on clear, respectful language to address behaviors and manage conflict so that we too can come out stronger on the other side. It's time to use our covenant again. Be intentional about creating a safe, inclusive, and welcoming community. Thanks.
I wish for you to be free from doubt. When you feel left behind or left out. When the world seems brighter everywhere else, and your mind is lost inside of wishing well. Right on time, you are right on time, you're right on time. Remember, the heart is a tender thing, restless and hopeful, it cries and sings. Sometimes you need shelter and a space to be a little tough, not tough enough, a little lost at sea. And when everyone is racing and you join in, if you can't, try running with a smile. 'Cause there is a danger in going too fast. Getting too far ahead can set you back. Right on time, you are right on time, you're right on time. You're right on time, you are right on time. And when you're tired and on your own, cried so many tears, they're all gone. When there's nothing you haven't tried to fix this uncertain road, where everywhere you look, you see regret, caught up in the past and what might have been. What we can never know is can make our heads spin. A little love, a little trust, a lot of forgiveness. Right on time, you are right on time, you're right on time. What if we're right on time? We're right on time, we're right on time.
So thank you for joining me today. And as we go out into the world, let's remember our covenant. In the service of the values that unite us, we will recognize the inherent value of each and every person, foster a community of compassion and caring for all, value our diverse opinions, and engage respectfully in all interactions. Thank you.
Our closing hymn this morning is number 121, We'll Build a Lamp. Please rise as you're willing and able and join us to sing.
Thank you, Laura. Will you join me in extinguishing our chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go now in peace.